Hey everybody, welcome back to Cerebral Tackle. This is a subject I've been kind of debating within myself whether I should do it here for a while now. Recent events have kind of pushed me towards, let's go ahead and get the elephant in the room out of the way. And for once, I'm not meaning me. We're talking about bullies. Whether it be that guy that's trying to push you off the spot that you pre-fished for 3 weeks, that idiot that runs around the trail whose family tree kind of resembles a knotless twig, or the keyboard cowboys I've been having to deal with here on the YouTubes. Those guys. So do me a favor, please like, get ready to comment, share, subscribe. Let's do it. Now people see me and they make a ton of assumptions as to why I end up looking the way that I did. They immediately jump to, oh, he's a pig, he overeats. No, you know what guys, I eat 1 meal a day, that's it. And I bet you it kind of resembles what a typical dinner does for most of you guys. Now, first off, I haven't always been this shape and size. I mean, hell, back in high school, I was playing baseball. But somewhere in my late 20s, my physiology changed really abruptly. My body stopped processing the water the way that it should. Instead, it started hoarding it like it was a freaking camel. Now, I went to different specialists. We tried all kinds of medications, and nothing worked. At one point, I did lose 75 pounds of sheer freaking water weight. But that got me horribly, terribly sick. As a matter of fact, I would take my wife to her work. Then I would be en route to my job, and I would have to pull over on the side of the road and throw up. It was literally killing me. Now, all the problems with my body not being able to process water correctly led me to congestive heart failure by my late. That led on to lung issues and spine issues and a host of other issues, and my health just started spiraling downhill from there. As bad as my health has got, and it's got pretty bad, it's never quelled my love for fishing. I even fished a BASS state championship one time through a severe bout of congestive heart failure when my doctor thought I should be home in bed. Boy, was he pissed. Hell, even since then, I fished 2 or 3 tournaments with really bad pneumonia. Wife wasn't happy, but I did it. Now, when I first broke into tournaments, I wasn't as big as I am now, but I was still a pretty big guy. And that really wasn't a problem for most people, except for, a couple of the bullies. The first organization I landed with, I was the new kid in town. I was enjoying being part of the Bassmaster Nation and starting to make some pretty good friendships. Pretty soon into it, I found myself being courted by both the president and the vice president tournament director of the organization. They expressed wanting to kind of prep me to take over one of their roles as an officer. However, something seemed kind of off to me about the whole proposition, like it stank a little bit. It wasn't like they wanted me for who I was and what I could bring to the table, but more like because I was new and I was green and they could run me like a puppet. Well, I don't want anybody's hand up my butt. Now, being enamored with the idea of giving back to the organization that accepted me for my very first time in tournaments, I wanted to give back. So I approached an officer who had been there and who sincerely wanted a break from his position. He and I talked. When it come time for elections, he threw my name into the ring and I was easily elected. However, turning down the Godfather's hand did pay a price, and then and only then did weight suddenly become an issue. At first, I was targeted by this big jerk, right? This guy weighed every bit as much as I did, but was considerably taller, so it sat a little different on him. Oh, he bad-mouthed me behind my back to everyone, and then the one time I drew him on my home lake, front-ended the piss out of me. However, I did catch Big Bass to the tournament, and boy, did that piss him off. I dared just smile at the fact I caught this nice fish. He turns around and goes, well, aren't you just ready for the effing classic? No, I was just glad to not zero on my home lake fishing behind this a-hole. Then, Mr. Big Boy, just as big as me, just a little bit taller, starts sowing seeds of discontent around the organization, saying I'm too fat to fish. It got so bad that one night, towards the end of the year before meeting, I was pulled aside by an officer who was a friendly person to me and said that he was told to let me know that the unofficial rule for me going forward was, in order for me to stay and fish, I was going to step on an electronic scale and take a picture of my weight on the scale with the digital readout to prove what weight I was, because they didn't believe it was what I said that it was. That would be a no. Now, being that this unofficial me-only rule wouldn't start until next season, I hatched a plan. I worked hard to qualify for the championship, went out there and placed third behind the two best anglers in the organization. Let me tell you, these were top-notch guys, one of which, Bob, I've spoken with in an earlier video. So, after accepting my prize, I made a little comment about how I was so glad the top 3 anglers in the organization came in first, second, and third for the championship, handed them my gear from the officer's position, gave them both middle fingers, and hit the door. My next move was to go to an even older organization. This was the oldest one in the state. They were in desperate need of some help rebuilding. My wife and I threw our names in the ring, helped them bring them back to their glory days. One of the best compliments I ever got was from an OG original member. He told me that myself, along with their very first president, were the best 2 presidents they had ever had. And that meant more to me than anything. Now, out of my 18 years of tournament fishing, I logged 11 of it as a president, 2 years as a secretary, and 1 year as a Federation Nation rep for the organization. I put in my time. To me, it just wasn't about fishing and going home. I wanted to give back to those who would have me. Now, you might ask, what does any of that have to do with my weight? That's my point. Absolutely freaking nothing. My weight, how I look, that's just what idiots use when they have nothing left in the bag. For me, it was about fishing. It was about giving back. And I took my position as president seriously. I even sacrificed my place in the back of the boat to make sure a new young up-and-comer was able to get into the back of the boat. And I was rewarded. For that specific tournament, my wife and I asked permission to team up from the bank. Yes, from the bank. We installed a kick-butt live well in the back of the vehicle. We went out there and guess what? We won it. Yeah, we won it. You want to see some pissed off anglers? Try telling them they were beaten by a couple of folks fishing the bank. This wasn't just any lake either. This lake always falls in the top 5 of the country when it comes to bass fishing. A lot of times it's number 1. Anyway, we took home the gold. So to all those guys who want to take pop shots at my weight, here's a novel idea. How about you don't get beat by a fat guy in a mobility scooter from the bank? Just a novel idea, just throwing that out there. Look at the scoreboard and tell me what it says. But instead, these keyboard cowboys come at me with stuff like, I don't know, making fun of people with cerebral palsy, taking fat jokes, even dragging the great mattstefanfishing into this. I mean, what the hell does poor Matt have to do with anything? He's awesome. Here this guy is again, dragging Matt. Now, the last time I checked in on Matt, Matt was winning, and winning big. Congratulations to your win on the Mississippi, Matt. You deserved it. It couldn't happen to a better guy. If you guys haven't checked him out, go do so. He's a great dude, has a ton of good tips and tricks. The man's a genius. Now, this guy isn't the only keyboard cowboy I've had to deal with, and I try to deal with them as they come along. Because I believe in the scientific theory of FAFO, which clearly states,
the more you f around, the more you're going to find out.
So to people like Byron Hendricks Fishing, he's a pro, y'all. The Sosa guy from Florida who actually threatened physical violence? Yankee Lipper Fishing, seen here auditioning for his role in Deliverance 2. And last but not least, the guy that only posts shorts, doesn't show his face, and only heavy breathes like something out of a creepy 1980s crank call. Well, as my buddy Colonel Frank Slade would say,
wherever you are out there, f*** you too.
So, that's quite enough about me. Until next we meet, keep it wet.